Hey, thanks for joining me for this fourth session of our It's Just a Phase small group material. I hope you've been getting a whole lot out of our time together and out of this overarching series. I'm sure by now you've loaded the ParentCue app and you've been digging in and getting your notifications for the podcast. And you might be thinking, what is the best thing I can do? How do I get started with all of this goodness that's coming out of this app? And this is what I want to tell you. Start with just one thing. If you don't have time to do everything, start with just one thing. Go to where it says, remember this, with the little finger tied up. It's a little image of a finger with a little knot on it. It says, remember this under one of your kids, and there's a Bible verse there for them to memorize, and for you to memorize, and for you and them to memorize together. And I want to just give you an example of how you can do this quickly, efficiently, and effectively, and actually have fun while you're doing it. So I brought a superstar to come join us. Jordan, come up here. Jordan and I are going to memorize this week's Bible verse from the ParentCue app under where it says, remember this. Are you ready to do this? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, so all we're going to do is we're going to start out reading just a portion of it, and then we're going to build the verse as it goes, and she's going to repeat after me until we do the whole thing. And I'm going to cheat the whole time by looking at the app to make sure I'm getting it right, but we're going to have this memorized by the end. You ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Joshua 1:9.
Joshua 1:9.
Joshua 1:9.
Joshua 1:9.
Joshua 1:9. God is.
Joshua 1:9. God is.
God is with you.
God is with you.
Joshua 1:9. God is with you.
Joshua 1:9. God is with you.
God is with you.
God is with you.
Wherever you go.
Wherever you go.
Wherever you go.
Wherever you go.
God is with you wherever you go.
God is with you wherever you go.
Joshua 1:9. God is with you wherever you go.
Joshua 1:9. God is with you wherever you go.
Now, Jordan, can you tell everybody Joshua 1:9 from memory?
Joshua 1:9. God is with you wherever you go.
Woohoo! You see that? 30 seconds. We had this bad boy. Pound it. Thank you so much. You guys, you can do this with any of your kids of any age, and the ParentCue app gives you age-appropriate verses, even with my littlest ones, who I'm pretty confident are not going to memorize the whole thing. I still do this process with them. You know why? It's building language skills and teaching their tongues to make the motions they need to make to get the sounds you want them to make to be able to be articulate speakers. So this is a great, great practice for you to do with your kids. It's a great way to get the Bible into your heart and into their hearts. And so leverage this portion of the ParentCue app. It's a big, big deal. I want to ask a huge favor of you guys. If you have heard something amazing in one of these It's Just a Phase messages. If you've heard something that was like, wow, I never thought of that before, and now I'm going to do this, from maybe a podcast or from something that you've used in the ParentCue app, or something that I've said during one of these small group sessions has been like, wow, you really got me thinking, and this is going to be powerful for my family. Would you do me a favor? Would you share that with me? Would you go to the ORBC Kids Facebook group and just post, man, I heard this during this part of It's Just a Phase, and it's awesome because of, and just let us know. That would be so encouraging to me, and it'd be super encouraging to other parents to get to celebrate those wins together, because you never know. You might have noticed something that somebody else needs to take note of. So let's all do this parenting thing together and share what's going on by posting those messages in the Oak Ridge Kids Facebook group. You can just look it up there in the search, and it'll come up. All right, let's jump into our lesson for today. Here's what I want you guys to hear. I mentioned a little bit about the culture of parenting and how that pendulum has shifted. And I want to dig just a little bit more into that. I don't want to dwell on that for too long. But here's what's happened with parents today, according to the research. What they think is, if I want my kids to get educated, I'm going to send them to school, and I'm going to try to get them into the best school I can get them in. If I want my kids to learn to play soccer, I'm going to sign them up for a soccer league, and they'll learn to play soccer from their coaches and the team there. If I want my kids to learn an instrument, I'll sign them up for music lessons. And then logically what follows in that whole thing is, if I want my kid to learn about Christianity or what it means to be a Christian, well, then I will take them to church. And what we've done when we follow that is we outsource the role of our role as parents in the religious and spiritual development of our kids to the organization of the church. And let me just tell you, taking your kids to church is fantastic. It's awesome. You need to do it. But church is supposed to be just one tool in your tool bag as a parent, as you invest in and grow your kids' faith and as you help develop them in their faith. Here, check this out. In Deuteronomy 6, 6 through 7, it says, "And these words," this is God speaking, "that I command you today shall be on your heart, and you shall teach them diligently to your children, and you shall talk with them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise." The understanding of who God is, what it means to have a relationship with God, what it means to live a Christian life, God's saying that's up to each and every one of us to pass along to our kids in the everyday in and outs of our lives. It's not just drop them off at church on Sunday. In Ephesians 6:4, it says this. It says, "Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord." And so even in the New Testament, we have this command that says, look, parents, bring your kids up in the instructions of the Lord. That's something you're actively supposed to be a part of. I, as the father in my family, am commanded to be active in bringing up and disciplining my children to know God and know what it means to live a Christian life. It doesn't say, fathers, don't make your kids angry, but make sure they go to church every Sunday, because at church they're going to learn everything they need to know. No. Now, we have phenomenal children's programming here, and getting your kids to church every Sunday is a big, big deal. But like I said before, church is just supposed to be one tool in every parent's tool bag to help them get their children grown up and mature in the faith, to help parents develop their children themselves, to teach them themselves. We want to be the best tool we can possibly be for you, and I feel like we have some amazing programs, and we're all about coming alongside you, but it's up to you, parents. It's up to me as the father in my family to be certain that I'm making a use of those tools, but I'm doing more than just saying, hey, hammer, go build this house. I'm supposed to be the one holding the hammer. So how can I take this responsibility, since I can't outsource the responsibility of parenting my kids, of spiritually developing my kids, of helping them along the way, of showing them what they need to do? How can I take this responsibility seriously? Well, number one, we need to get intentional. I need to get intentional about this. I need to take this seriously and put some real thought into what are the key things that are going to need to happen if I'm going to be the one who takes this role in my kid's life. Well, I need to pre-decide a whole lot of things. I need to sit down and look at the flow of life and say, I'm not going to wait till I'm in the thick of the moment to make a decision about some of these things. I'm going to go ahead and just pre-decide that this is what we do. One of the things I'm going to pre-decide is that, you know what? Our family goes to church every Sunday. Yeah, I know I've said that church is not this place that's supposed to go and take care of your kids for you, and that's only one tool in the toolbox. But let me just tell you, it's a really good tool in your toolbox, and you should make as much use of it as you possibly could. If you wait till the morning of, after you've stayed up late on Saturday night, when the kids are screaming and you're exhausted, to say, well, I wonder if I should go to church today, let me just tell you, your answer's probably going to be no, and you're probably not going to go. But if you pre-decide and you just say, from this day forward, this is just something our family does, we just go to church, you're much more likely to take advantage of this amazing tool, which you have in your tool box as the primary spiritual leader in your home. Number two, pre-decide that your family's going to serve together, that you're going to serve in your church, but also maybe you'll serve outside the church. Service is a great way to develop humility, to teach kids to see outside of themselves, and to be obedient to the Lord, to show love. And so pre-decide, we're going to serve in church, or maybe we're going to sign up and we're going to serve at Halo. What is service going to look like for your family? Pre-decide that that's going to happen. Number three, pre-decide that your family will have spiritual conversations. This is the hardest one, because for so long we've lived in families and we've done life together, and spiritual things might not have been a priority, and it's like, I don't know how to have these conversations. I don't know how to start that up. What do I do? Well, that's where the Parent Cue is so amazing, because every week you get a new one. For each of your kids on here is a specific thing for you to think about. And you can use that. Think about this moment to go and talk with your kids. Okay, well, here's a question for you. Here's other ideas. So I hope you'll make great use of this app. I know the idea of memorizing Bible scriptures once a week. Every night for a week you can do the same scripture right at bedtime. These are things that are helpful for you. Pre-decide, I'm going to do these things, and start making a plan for how you'll express them, and take advantage of the tools and opportunities we're providing for you to help you be able to do that. We need to be intentional. And then pre-decide that your family is going to be a light to your own community. Think about, okay, how am I going to lead my family in such a way that my kids observe our family being a light to those who live around us? Maybe it's as simple as when you know one of your neighbors is sick, you make a lasagna and you bring it over to them and offer to pray for them. Maybe it's you host small group in your home, or you include your kids in your small group when you go somewhere else. Maybe you say, you know what, my home is the place where the party's going to be at. And we're going to be certain to pray before the meal. Even though there's a whole bunch of people who aren't church people here, they're going to know that God is real for us. And so our kids will see us pray. Think about and pre-decide, how is my family going to be a light to our community? We need to be intentional. We need to pre-decide all these things. And once we've pre-decided, these kinds of things become our priorities. Now, here's the deal. We need to let our priorities drive our schedule. That's right. You have to let your priorities drive your schedule, not your schedule drive your priorities. So often we get this completely backwards. We think our kids need to be in every after-school program. They need to be a part of every extracurricular activity. They need to be on every single sports team. And so we sign them all up for all these different things, and we spend our life just running them from place to place to place to place to place. And suddenly we realize all these things that we valued, we didn't get to do because we did all these other things, and we don't even know why we chose these other things. We would have never said, yeah, soccer's more important than God. We would have never said that getting an after-school club is better than loving our neighbor and serving our community. But because we let our schedule drive our priorities instead of the other way around, functionally, that's what we did. And so we need to think about, maybe we need to kind of like synergize some of this stuff and say, as a family, we go and do this after-school activity together. All of us do the same one. That way we have free time and a little bit of cushion to just breathe and think about, well, maybe we already say, you know what, we just don't do sports teams that happen on Sundays because we have to be at church and we need a day of rest. I'm not saying these are things you have to do. I'm saying these are things for you to consider as you think about what your family's priorities will be and how can you make sure you hit the priorities that you value and don't allow the schedule and the busyness to shove them out. Finally, number 3, the only way that you're going to be successful making these priorities and keeping these priorities is if you keep it fun. You got to keep it fun. If it's not fun, you're going to stop doing it after a couple weeks. Your kids are going to get tired of it. They're going to see that you're not having fun with it, and they're going to be like, what? This is a drag. But if you can make the spiritual conversations you have, the service you do together as a family, the values and priorities that you do fun, it just reinforces and makes it so you want to do these things. And so how are ways we can keep it fun? How are ways we can insert some spiritual stuff into our life and have it be fun? I want to give you a couple easy ones. One, this is a book called The Action Bible. It is literally the Bible as a comic book. I'm telling you, man, this is some good stuff. My kids have read this thing at the right age. They've read it like 5 or 6 times because it's a comic book and it's incredibly engaging. Then they just hand it down to the next one, and then he's all about it. And it actually lives in their bed for a good couple months where they read over it. And so the Action Bible is a really, really fun way to get Bible stories into your kids' lives. And then what's even cooler, and I just found this, is the Action Bible's put out the Action Bible Guess It game, and it's a card game that has trivia questions that you can play with your kids, and you can all get around the table and you can go through and see who can get the most of these questions correct. And here's the deal. Since your kids are the ones who are reading the Action Bible, they're going to get the questions right, and they're going to beat you. Test me on it. They're going to win. And when they do, think about how affirming that's going to be and how much fun that is for them. So the Action Bible Guess It game. There's a awesome show. I know there are always moments in life where we like, okay, I just need these kids occupied just for a few minutes because I need to be able to think about this thing I'm going to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what if you were to maximize on those moments and say, if I'm going to have these kids occupied and out of my hair for 20 minutes so I can do this, what if I use that to put my kids in front of something that's going to actually grow their faith instead of something that's just going to kind of numb their mind? There's a show that you can find on YouTube that a lot of times we use it in our children's program. It's called The So-and-So Show. If you just go to YouTube and search up so, the symbol and so show, so much good stuff on there. It's so much fun. I actually like watching it with my kids. I think it's hilarious, but it reinforces Bible stories and Bible principles. You want your kids watching this show. So when you need a moment, that's a great thing. They'll learn to look it up themselves after a while, and you won't even have to worry about it. Want to get your kids reading the Bible even more? There's a Bible app for kids So we often use the YouVersion Bible app for Bible reading plans for adults. Well, if you just look up in the App Store Bible app for kids or Bible for kids, you'll see that the YouVersion has created a kids Bible that tells Bible stories, but there's interactive things and games that go along with it, and they have challenges you can compete. So my 6-year-old's like, I need to read 3 more Bible stories, Daddy, or else I won't complete the challenge and get my badge. And so you want to use the Bible app for kids. It's a great way to be fun. There's this cartoon that I watched when I was a kid, and they've remade it again, and it's called Superbook. And if you have Amazon Prime and you search up Superbook, man, what a cool cartoon way to have your kids get to interact with the Bible. Super fun. It's a good half hour. I used to use this because it's kind of like, wow, we got ready for school a little bit early and we have a little bit of extra time. You guys can watch Superbook. And they think it's a huge deal because you don't get to have screen time on school days, but for some reason you can watch Superbook. So that's really, really good. So have fun with it. Have fun as you're memorizing, as you're having your spiritual conversations. Have intentional times of fun as you sit around the dinner table together, play crazy games with each other, make jokes, and then lead into those spiritual conversations. If you can keep this stuff fun, you'll be able to keep doing it for the long run. Don't get bogged down. Don't be like, this is so hard. How do I know what to do? Take advantage of the resources that our church wants to help you with. Take advantage of the cues you're getting on the parent queue. And just start small, one little thing at a time, and you're going to get there. Then you'll be the parent that God's calling you to be. You'll be the primary spiritual leader for your family. You'll create a culture that just develops spiritual maturity, and you'll be leveraging this amazing tool of the church the way God intended, with you being the primary leader and the church resourcing you to help you be as effective as you can be for your kids. So that's what I wanted to share with you today in small group. I know you're going to have a great discussion today. Peace.